All right, this is the Inequality Translation homework number 2. It says, write an inequality to represent each of the following situations and then graph the inequality. So the first one says, 4 times a number r. So I'm going to write 4 times r. Okay, and then it's decreased by 7. So decreased by would mean to subtract, so I'm going to subtract 7, is at most 5. All right, so my 5 is going to go on this side, and I have to determine what's the inequality sign that goes here. So the most it can be is 5. So that means that it has to be less than or equal to 5, because the most it is 5. So now what I'm going to do is solve. So remember, you're going to do the opposite of adding or subtracting first. So I'm going to add 7 to both sides. That's going to give me the 4 times r left. You can also write 4 times r as just 4r. My inequality sign will come down, and 5 plus 7 is 12. I still don't have the r by itself, so I have to do the opposite of times 4. So I'm going to divide by 4. So r will be less than or equal to 3. And then you guys are going to graph that by putting your 3 in the middle. And we've got an equal to underneath, so that means it's going to be a filled-in circle. And then I'm going to try some different numbers. If I put a 2 in, is 2 less than or equal to 3? Yes, that's true, but let's just check by putting a 5 in. Is 5 less than or equal to 3? And this one is not true, but this one is true. So I'm going to make my answers shaded towards the left. Okay, so I'll help you set up the inequalities for the others, and then I'll have you do the graphing. So the next one says 5 times a number. Okay, 5 times a number is increased by 4. Increased by means to add. The result is at least 19. Okay, so the least it can be is 19. So that means it's going to be greater than, and it could be equal to. So then you're going to solve by subtracting 4 on both sides. And we'll have 5n is greater than or equal to 15. Divide by 5. And n will be greater than or equal to 3. So you guys are going to do your graph for that. All right, let's go down to this one. The sum of, so sum means I'm going to add 2 things together. So I'm going to get the sum of twice a number. So I'm going to do twice a number, and I'm going to add that to 5. The sum of twice a number and 5 is at most 15. So the most it can be is 15, so that means it's going to be less than or equal to 15. All right, so I'm going to solve by subtracting 5. 2n is less than or equal to 10. Divide by 2. N is less than or equal to 5. So you guys are going to graph that, and make sure for some of these you go back. It says find the least possible number that satisfies this condition. All right, so go to the next one. It says 2 times a number. Well, that's 2 times n, 2 times a number, increased by, means to add, 4, is no more than 8. So if it can't be more than 8, that means it's going to be less than or equal to 8. So you guys are going to solve and graph that one. So make sure you solve and then make your graph. All right, here's a tricky one. This one says half of a number. So to get half of something, you're going to take that number and we're going to divide it by 2, or divide it in half. And then we're going to add 5. It says plus 5 is greater than 12. Okay, so we haven't done one like this, so let's go through. We're going to subtract 5 from both sides. Then we're left with n divided by 2 is greater than 7. And then to solve, we do the opposite of divide by 2, which is multiply by 2. So n would be greater than 14. And then you're going to graph that. All right, flip it to the back. On the back, it says, write, solve, and graph each of the following. All right, we're going to answer the follow-up question. So this is the follow-up question to this. And down on the bottom, this is the follow-up to this one. So let's look. Boris wants to buy a turkey for Thanksgiving so that all 9 family members get the same amount of food. So that's important. There's 9 family members. If each family member is going to eat at most 2 pounds of turkey, how many pounds P of turkey does he need to buy? Okay, well, our P is the number of pounds of turkey Boris will buy. Okay, so I know that I'm going to buy a turkey that's P pounds. I'm going to cut it up so that all 9 family members, so we're going to divide that turkey up so 9 family members can eat it. And they're all going to eat at most 2 pounds. Okay, well, if the most they eat is 2, that means it's got to be less than or equal to 2 pounds. So I'm going to solve by doing the opposite of divide by 9, which is multiply by 9. So P will be less than or equal to 18 pounds. So Boris is going to have to buy an 18-pound turkey. So if I graph that, 18 would be in the middle, 19, 20, 17, 16. I'm going to have a closed circle at 18 because it could be 18 pounds. And I'm going to substitute in some numbers. If I put a 16 in, is 16 less than or equal to 18? That's true. If I put a 20 in, is 20 less than or equal to 18? No. So my answers need to go this way. Okay, so the follow-up question says, Boris found a deal on a 16-pound turkey. Should he buy it or look for another one? Well, do you think 16 pounds will be enough? So that's what we need to decide. Is 16 going to be enough? Okay, so that's what you're going to answer. You're going to put that in here. So if I look, 16 is part of our answers here. So people will probably eat 2 pounds or less. Okay, the most they were going to eat is 18. Okay, so that's going to be your follow-up for this. So here you can just explain, would a 16-pound turkey be enough? All right, and let's just get this one set up for you. Jill went to the market. She bought X bags of apples for $6 each. If Jill's total was exceeding, that means it was over $42. So what's the minimum number of bags of apples that she bought? All right, well, if each bag is $6, that means it's $6 times the number of bags she buys. And her total was over or greater than $42. It doesn't say it was equal, it said it was over 42, so we're just going to say greater. Then I'm going to solve by doing the opposite of times 6. So X has to be greater than or equal to 7. So she would have had to have bought more than 7 bags. So you're going to answer this question. Could Jill have bought 6 bags of apples? So think about that in this inequality. Would 6 make it true? And then you're going to just write in a sentence, explain whether she could have bought 6 bags.